Yeah, hi guys. Let's start the class. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. Let me know once you get visibility to my screen. Okay. So today's topic is like system databases in SQL Server. Okay. So we have like 5 system databases. Like we have master, model, MSDB, and tempdb. These are official databases, and unofficially we can see like one more system databases, which is like MS SQL resource. Okay, that we cannot see from the SQL Server Management Studio, but it is like it is helping internally to store all the binary related information. Okay, so I will explain these 5 system databases, and along with this, so we have a distribution database, and which is using for the replication. So let me explain one by one. Okay, so coming to the SQL Server, let me start. I think I already opening the SQL Server. Yes, the SQL Server. So I'm starting the SQL Server management studio. So meantime we can say like we have like total 5 system databases, right? So master, model, MSDB, and temp. Okay, these 4 databases we can see from the like system databases. Like we have a master, like tempdb is like model database. Fourth one is MSDB, we call it as a Microsoft database, and fifth one is MS SQL resource. System resource. Okay, so this is hidden database, so we call it as a hidden database. Okay, so see, we have a master and model. See, we have by using these 5 databases we are operating with operating our SQL server. Okay, that means each and every database having specific functionality. Okay, example, if you take this master database, say example, it is like heart of the SQL server. Okay, so whenever you create like any database, okay, create any database, it is default creating the data file and log file. Or if you want to like we are creating the security, right, like logins to access the databases. If you create any logins or the linked servers, or we have like concepts called endpoints. Okay, if you create any endpoints, all this logical information is storing into this master database. We can say it is like heart of the SQL server. Without master database we cannot like connect the SQL server at all. Okay, so it is playing major role like in SQL server. In case if something happened to the master database, so we have to perform the rebuild. Like this one and only option is rebuilding master database. Rebuilding master database is nothing but a recreating our new SQL server. Okay, not a master database, new creating our new SQL server with fresh system databases. Okay, and we can perform many things like we cannot perform like mainly we cannot add the file, we cannot drop the file in user databases. We have added file groups and the files, and we have created like users, all these things, right? But in the master database, we cannot drop the database. If you want, we cannot see for the system. So all the user databases we can drop and recreate whenever you require. Okay, but master database we cannot drop this. Okay, we can't drop this database. Okay, so next, we cannot add the file group to the master database. Add the file groups, and we cannot rename the system database name. So by default it should be master. Okay, rename. And we have like server configuration settings. We cannot alter any property of the master database. Okay, in the same way we have multiple options. We have CDC. We cannot modify this CDC is, we cannot apply CDC to this system database. CDC is nothing but a change data capture. I will explain it later. It is like change data capture. Okay, and like we have so many restrictions, so that we cannot apply all these settings on top of master database, because it is a master database. We cannot, it is logically storing all the information. Okay, it is helping us to store all the logical information. Okay, store the logical information about the activities. Okay, activities that we have performed in the SQL server. Example, if we create any database, so if we create any logins, if we create any linker server, or if we create any endpoints, all these are logically storing. Like if you want to change path of the system databases, so we created the user databases in certain default drive, right? And we also created user databases in different drives, right? Example, if you want to if you want, we can also change the path of the data on log file. Okay, all these things will be logically storing and capturing into this master database. Okay, and it is having so many limitations that we cannot drop. See, as I listed here, we cannot perform all these operations. Okay, and coming to this master database, okay, we have dedicated ID for this system database. Each and every database having dedicated ID. This system database ID is 1. Okay, how to find out this database IDs? So if you log into the SQL server, we have a like catalog view, that is like select star from sys dot databases and select star from sys databases. These all are the two catalog views. We can see all the database level properties. Okay, here we can see how many number of databases we have, like what is the database status. Select star from sys dot databases. Okay, so here if you execute this, we can see like master database, tempdb, model and msdb. These 5 are the system, these 4 are system database. Okay, master, tempdb, model and msdb. I have listed in same pattern here. Okay, for the master it is a database ID 1. Okay, for model tempdb it is a 2, for model it is a 3, for msdb it is a 4. Okay, from the 5th onwards it is starting with allocating for all the user database. Example, if you create any database, it is like allocating some dedicated ID. Okay, so all these are database IDs, okay, which are allocated for each and every database. See, example, we have like MS SQL system resource, right? So for this one we have a 32,767. This is the database ID for the hidden database. Okay, the model it is a it is 4, for sorry, for model it is 3. Okay, for msdb it is 4, for temp it is a ID is 2. Okay, for master it is 1. Okay, this is the sequence. Okay, from 5th onwards it is allocating for all the user databases. Okay, this is, see, we can use this query for many purpose, not only for like checking database IDs or database name. We can see this when this database was created, what is the compatibility model, that means compatibility level for each and every version of the SQL server. Okay, we have a compatibility level for this SQL server 2019, it is a 150 is the compatibility. So we can change this option at database properties level if you want. Example, if I go to this any database, we just right click on the database. Okay, click on properties. We can see the compatibility option here. So under options we have compatibility, right? This is the compatibility, like compatibility level is like 150 for SQL 2019. In the same way we can see compatibility for 2017, 2016, 14, 12 and 8. Okay, like this we are having compatibility. So it is like more about application level, like if any application is having any issues, so we'll try to change the compatibility from, like we'll try to increase that, trying to downgrade, upgrade or downgrade the compatibility. Okay, and like in the same way we have a collision setting for each and every database. We have a collision, we have a, like define this collision at the server level. Okay, and the user access, it is like multi-user, so multiple users can access the database. If you want, you can keep it as a like single user. Okay, read only database, like the status of the state of the database. Okay, and we see many options, so we'll discuss one by one in coming classes. Like the recovery model, this is one of the important topic. Recovery model is one of the most important, and the checksum. Okay, so we'll discuss all these things into the coming classes. Okay, service broker, log reviews, this is one of the most important one. Okay, so we can see many options, we can filter, and we can get many things from this catalog view. Okay, so coming back to our like system databases, this is all about system database, master database. Okay, see example, see we can also like where it is, yeah, this is all about master database example. Next we have like tempdb. The tempdb, the id for this tempdb is like it is a 2. Tempdb id is always 2. Okay, the id for this database is 2. Okay, so it is a temporary table, sorry, temporary database to store all the user related activities. Example, uh, if anyone trying to access the SQL server, that guy is temporarily like allocating some space in the tempdb. That means if we perform any like insert or select queries, or if we perform any operations on the SQL server database engine, that activity is running on top of the tempdb. We can call it as it is a temporary database. It is allocating some amount of like memory in the tempdb to perform that specific operation. Okay, so it might be internally create any like any objects in the tempdb, or you can use that for creating like tempdb, like perform any inner joins, outer joins, or sortings, mergings. Okay, it's based upon the user requirement. But coming to the tempdb point of view, like it is immediately deallocating the space. Example, whenever user trying to access the server, it is allocating some amount of space in the tempdb. Once that specific transaction is completed, it is automatically deallocating that space. That means it is occupying temporary space in the tempdb. Okay, once each and every transaction is completed, it is automatically deallocating the spaces. That means it is giving space to the coming transactions. Okay, so like, and it is one of the most important database. Like even we cannot start the SQL server without tempdb. Okay, cannot start the SQL server without tempdb. Okay, without tempdb. So if you see, sometimes user will be creating like to store the temporary like tables, like he is creating like global tables, global and local temp tables. Okay, what happens, global means he is creating with double hash. Okay, example, he is creating table with this double hash symbol. Okay, local tables means it is like creating with only string hash. So that means if we that based upon the application requirement, if we create a local temp temp table, so it is only restricted to only specific session. Example, uh, application depends upon application requirement, he want to create one temp tb, he want to insert some amount of data in the temp table as a part of process. So he is using this table, and once that process is completed, he is automatically deleting this table. Okay, this is the process. Okay, so if he created this table as a local table, that is only limited, that means that scope of that table is at specific session level. Okay, this local temp table is specific uh, session level. Okay, okay, whereas in global table, if the application team created any global table, so it will be creating in temp tb with double hash. Okay, starting with double hash, and it is like available for globally for all the user connections. Okay, so that means if anyone can access this global table, okay, that means it is having scope at entire server level. But if we create it with local single hash, so it is only specific to single session. Okay, once that session is completed, it is removing from the SQL database temp SQL server. Okay, this is more about like local and global variables. Okay, in the same way, like can we take the backup of temp tb? You will be definitely getting the interview questions like, can we take the backup of temp tb? No, we cannot take. Why? Why? So because it is a temporary object. Okay, whenever you restart the SQL server, this temp-db is freshly creating. Okay, it is just holding temporary objects to perform the uh, any batch jobs, or to perform any kind of speeds. Okay, and it will be recreating every restart. The temp-db is recreating. Okay, recreating whenever you restart the SQL server. Okay, whenever you restart the SQL server, it is recreating. Okay, recreating the temp-db data files and log file. Example, sometimes we are like, if too many users are hitting to the temp-db database, that means SQL server. Okay, all these users are trying to perform certain operations on the temp-db, right? In such cases, we are getting like temp-db full issues. So we have to check like how many transactions are hitting, how many active transactions are using this temp-db. Okay, and we have to try to clear the space from this temp-db. Okay, so like this we have to like work with this temp-db. It is one of the most important. If the temp-db is like if the temp database is corrupted, like we cannot connect to the SQL server. Okay, we have only one solution to restarting the SQL server. Okay, this is all about temp-db. So next, like we have model database. Model is one of the like it is a just template for newly creating databases. It is a just template. Okay, template means, example, whenever you creating any, we created multiple databases, right, as a part of like practicals. So we created these many databases, right? See, whenever you create, it is just acting as a template. First point, this is the first point. Okay, it is a template for newly creating databases. Example, if you creating any database that initially getting acquiring all the properties from the model. Okay, that means it is having certain template. It is like copying like if you create any database, it is copying from all these properties from the model database. Okay, it is just templates, that's it, nothing more. Okay, and it is also impacting if the temp-db model db is corrupted. Okay, so sometimes like if you have backup, we have to recover this temp-db, sorry, model db. And we have many like restrictions, like we cannot rename, we cannot drop, or we cannot like add the more files into the model database. At the same time, whatever the settings we have, like we have restrictions in this model, like sorry, in this master database, same restrictions will be applying for the model database as well. Okay, it is just template, nothing more else. Okay, example, even see TempoDB also acquiring all the properties from the model database, because it is a template, that's it. It is even that this system database itself acquiring properties from the like model database. Okay, so this is all about model database. And coming to most important, like MSDB, like we call it as a Microsoft Microsoft database. Okay, see example, this is mainly for like using for storing, handling all the SQL server, SQL server agent information. Okay, MSDB is storing all the SQL server agent information, and it is storing DB mail information. Okay, and if you create any service broker, so it is storing into this MSDB database. Okay, example, if you create any jobs, like any jobs information, or the maintenance plans, if you create any maintenance plans. Okay, and if you create any operator, all these things are directly storing this in MSDB database. Okay, so without MSDB we cannot handle SQL server agent, or here it is a agent. Okay, if you expand this, we have a SQL server jobs. Okay, so operator, and we have a like error logs. Okay, and we have SQL server management. Under this management we can see the SQL server maintenance plans. We can create many maintenance plans. We can also create a database mail profile. All these things will be storing inside of this MSDB. We call it as a Microsoft database. Okay, let me show you where it is like storing these files. See example, I have created in this D drive, right? Under D drive we place all this root directory in this path, right? So let me open this on 92. Okay, if you click on the data, we can see all the user related. See, for the master database it is a master. Okay, for the master database, this is the data file name, this is the log file name. Master is MAST log for the master database. Okay, this is the model. Okay, model is the data file, and model log is the log file. These all are for related to the Microsoft like replication related thing. Okay, so next we have MSDB data, MSDB log, and TempoDB. And for the TempoDB, like we are like creating multiple data files. Okay, I will explain the purpose of TempoDB later. Okay, in deeply, like what is the TempoDB best practices, how we can configure, why we are maintaining multiple TempoDB data files. All these points I will be covering into the performance tuning. Okay, so this is the path we can find out all the system databases. Okay, this is all about the like MSDB and all the system databases. Okay, and we have one more database called like this is MS SQL system resource. Okay, this is the MS SQL system resource. This is one of the database. Okay, so it is hidden database, so we call it as a hidden database. Okay, so we can see this database in bin folder. If we go back, we have a bin and folder. In this bin and folder we can see this MS SQL system resource. You just scroll down all these files. See here, MS SQL system resource, this is the data file. This is that one second, yeah, this is the log file. This is the log file. This is the data file. Okay, so the main purpose of this database is store or handle like binary related information. Example, if I want to upgrade my server, like if I want to downgrade my server, Okay, and whenever I am applying any patches to the SQL server, all these like uh, bin and folders are updating, like whatever the content we have in this bin and folder, this is like more about software related information. If any one of the file is corrupted, like we are facing like performance issues, or we are facing like so many issues, like software, this SQL server is built up on basis of these DLLs. Okay, so whenever you perform any operations, it is like coming to this DLL path, it is like fetching the information. So that is the reason Microsoft is placed this MS SQL system resource in this folder. It is considering like it is one of the bin file. Okay, so it is very important in real time. Bin folder is very important. Okay, so we have many things like you guys can research like can we like can we back up this MS SQL system resource. Okay, and this is the one question. And next is like best practice. What is the best practices? Best practices for the system resource database. Try to understand this. Okay, try to like get the information what exactly it is. Like no one is asking you, but if you go to this like sometimes like you are getting this question in interviews, can we take this MS SQL resource backup, where it is like where can we see this database. Okay, like what is the best practices to handle, like best practices in the sense we are using mainly like whenever it basically it is whenever you are applying any patches, it is like updating this bin and folder, right? So that is the reason we are taking backup of this bin and path while patching the SQL server. This is one of the best practices in patching cycle. Okay, and if you go to this install folder, we see many files like see inst mstb. This is one of the, if mstb is corrupted, we can recover this using this file. So it is just script, mstb script, we can recover this by just running this file. Okay, so this is one of the best possibility for the mstb. And these are like it is storing all the SQL server queries, so it is helping us internally. Okay, in the same way we can see many options like jobs, like if you configure like any jobs, all these jobs related information is storing in this folder. Okay, right now we don't have any jobs, that's the reason we cannot see the information. And this is like error logs information. If you go to this folder, we can see SQL server error logs. Error logs I will explain it later, because we have to understand deeply, like understand about each and every, like let me cancel this. This is like mstb, I think I double click on that file. Yeah, these are like we have SQL server logs. These are server logs. These are like profiler logs. So these are like agent related files. Okay, we have system health files. I will explain this later. Okay, under SQL server jobs I will explain. See, we have repeal data. This is like it is creating if you are using the replication is one of the high availability concept. Okay, you just go through this path, try to see what kind of files we have, what is the purpose of each and every drive. Okay, example, if you take any backups, all these backups are storing into this backup folder. Okay, by default. But if you are taking to the specific any root directory, so it will be storing in that specific path. Okay, but by default it is coming here and it is storing in this place. Okay, so this is a script to create mstb. It is like to creating the mstb database. See, so we can use this store procedure. This is one of the store procedure. Okay, we can use in real time to recreate the mstb. But if you recreate this, it will erase all this previous history of the mstb. Okay, and we have one more store procedure like sp underscore start proc options. Sp underscore proc option. This I have to cover under this one. Sp underscore proc options. See, basically this is like one of the store procedure. It is helping us when SQL server is starting. Okay, so with the help of the store procedure, SQL server master database is starting SQL server database engine. See, once this is like master database is started, see, each and every database is coming online one by one. Okay, so let me show you one clear thing. So let me open any one of the SQL server. We can see the logs, how the SQL server is starting, what kind of components like it is starting while starting the SQL server. We have command sp underscore um, read error log. This is a command to check to capture all the error logs which are tracking into this SQL server. Okay, this is one of the store procedure. So when you start the SQL server, let me show you one thing. See, whenever you start any SQL server, let's see here, this is the, see here, it is initially checking this all the Microsoft terms and conditions. Okay, authentication, logging. Okay, it is checking the error log and it is checking the registries. This is one of the path. Here it is like this is the master database path and this is error log path. This is the log path of master. Okay, it is checking, initially it is checking the system database, later it will check the startup instance. Okay, next it is checking the logical processes count. Okay, next like it is detecting the RAM of the server and the memory usage. Okay, next it is, once the system database is started, here it is started the system database, right? Once it is started, it is checking all these options internally like collision, buffer pool. Okay, it is checking all these options. Later it is trying to like trying to start this tempodb. Let me show you that tempodb is one of the object. Yeah, see here it is like here it is started master database, right? Starting up the master database. Okay, the recovery for this master database. Okay, see, next we can see like all the databases are starting one by one. Okay, it is starting a all this user database. See, mstp, all this user database it is starting in the same way. mss, we can see the startup database, ms sql system resource. This is one of the system database, but we cannot see this in ssms, right? So like this we have to understand each and every option while starting the SQL server. Okay, so we just go through this, so try to understand what exactly these are. Okay, so I will explain this listener, I will explain all these things later, but try to see what kind of things we can observe. Okay, so this is about SQL server startup recovery. Internally it is using this sp underscore proc option. If anyone want to see information about the store procedure, it is required sysadmin. That means it is required the full control of the server. Okay, so this is all about system databases. Okay, any doubts, any doubts on the system databases? Any queries? No doubts? Okay, so if you okay with if you understand this all the system databases, like let me show you this all the system database by expanding this system database into ssms. If it is master, like it is handling like storing all this security, service broker related information, all these things. If you want, we can see what kind of tables we have. System tables. Okay, it is having some predefined system table to operate like failovers and failback. Okay, at the same time monitoring ms replication. This is some couple of store procedures. It is having like couple of internal views like to operate entire SQL server. Okay, it is having like internal views, synonyms. Okay, programmability. Under programmability we can see the all the store procedures available in the SQL server. Okay, see, these are the store procedures we can see. So no need to like by heart all these things, but in going forward you will understand like what are the important things and all these things. Okay, so these all are very very important. Okay, we just like we have functions. Okay, like in the similar way we have a plan catch, we don't require all this stuff. So that's it about database, master database. And coming to the model, in the same way we don't see much information in this model. Okay, it is just template, it is just template is having only some limited things. Okay, but in the msdb, if you expand this msdb, I think we can see system related information. We are like monitoring all the SQL Server logs, paying SQL Server database engine. Example, we are taking the backups, right? All these backups information is, will be storing into this backup related store DBO, like default tables. Okay, so we are trying to retrieve the information using this like any query, right? Select star from c dot databases. So these are like internal queries which are running like all these things. Okay, so in the same way we have log underscore shipping databases, and we can see like alert related information, system alerts, suspect pages. If any databases are corrupted, all these database pages, suspect pages are storing into this page. Okay, suspect page, we call it as a suspect page. So we have many things. See, if you want to see the jobs, okay, schedules, serve number of servers, steps for each job. See, all these things we can filter using these tables. Okay, this is like msdb, we are capturing all this information from the msdb. And temp tb is nothing but temporary tables, we can see the temporary tables. Okay, it will be if any user creating any temp tables, it is creating here. Okay, so instead of placing these temporary tables in individual user database, user can use this tempdb store to store the all the local and global tables. Okay, so this is all about system databases. In coming classes, so I'll be explaining about in deep like how the SQL Server architecture will be, how the data will be. Example, if you insert any data, if you run the any insert query here, okay, how this like insert whenever you insert any data using insert query, how this data will be storing in this physical file. Here it is created by default mdf and ldf, right? How whenever you run this insert statement, how it is exactly interacting with this physical file. We are just logically running this script in the ssms, right? So how it is storing, what kind of mechanism it is using, how the SQL Server architecture will be. Okay, and what all are the internal components available in SQL Server, how like how the users are hitting to the SQL Server database engine. Okay, and in this process we'll be learning many things like checkpoint buffer, like we'll be learning like checkpoints, lazy write, buffer pool, so many internal stuff. It is like interesting topic. Okay, so we'll be starting that topic tomorrow. Okay, so for today it's like this is all about system databases. Okay, so I'll be sending the links, some important links. I will be sharing this couple of links with you. Just go through this with links and try to understand and each system database functionality. Okay, so that's it for today. Let me know if you have any doubts or any concerns. Okay, no doubts. Okay, if you have any doubts, I think we can wind up the call. Okay, thank you all for joining. Have a nice day. Okay, bye bye. Right.